Hi, let's have a look at this question here. Physics standard level, paper 1, time zone 2, May 2022, number 4. It says a car accelerates uniformly from rest to a velocity v during time t1. It then continues at constant velocity v from t1 to time t2. What is the total distance covered by the car in time 2 or t2? When you approach a paper 1 question, very good advice, to watch for the keywords. Okay, so the first keyword here, I see accelerates uniformly. So the word uniform in physics, it means constant. So I say uniform motion means constant velocity. When I say accelerates uniformly, it means constant acceleration. So that means the acceleration is constant. Okay, from rest, this is the second keyword, which means what? Which means the initial velocity is 0, right? So we can say u equals 0 meter per second. The initial velocity is 0, is from rest, and until t1. So from zero time until t1, basically we have a constant acceleration. Okay, now from t1 to t2, it continues at constant velocity. What does it mean, constant velocity? It means acceleration equal to 0, right? Because acceleration is the change in velocity over time, right? But if the velocity is constant, so I can say, okay, so from t1 to t2, we have v is constant or acceleration is 0. So this is how you approach a paper 1 question, looking at the key words. So obviously, I'm going to break down, and now we need the total distance. So let's say, okay, from 0 to t1, let's say d1, and then from t1 to t2, d2, and we are going to calculate together the total distance, right? So in the first part, okay, in the first part of the motion, right, let's say from 0 to t1, okay, we have acceleration. That means I need to use the Suvat equation, right? So now you look at the Suvat equation, you may try one of the formulas, right? Maybe v squared is equal to u squared plus 2as, right? You may try the other one, which is s equal ut plus half at squared. No problem. Try and see if you get the answer. If not, you may change your path. So let's see. So I'm going to call s here d1. Okay, u is 0 anyway from rest, so here is 0, right? And then to a velocity v, so the final velocity, you call it v, so I'm going to keep it. So v squared is going to be 2as, I'm going to call s d1, right? So if I would like to make d1 the subject, so d1 is going to be v squared divided by 2a. Okay, we call it libre parataché. Just French school. Okay, so d1 equal v squared over 2a. And we call this equation 1. Now, in the second part of the motion, from t1 to t2, now this is even simple. Why? Because we have constant velocity. If you have constant velocity, feel free to say v equal distance over time. Okay, so I say, okay, so I say v equal distance over time, let's say d2 over the delta t, which is between t1 and t2, that's fine, right? So we can say d2 divided by delta t, which is t2 minus t1. This is the time interval at which the velocity was uniform, right? And then you can say, okay, so d2 is going to be v, right, multiplied by t2 minus t1. And then we call this equation 2. So you may say, okay, so the distance total, the total distance is going to be d1 plus d2, which is v 1/2, let's say, times v squared over a plus v multiplied by t2 minus t1. Now I look at the options here. I don't really quite see, but I mean, okay, I can see here v times t2 minus t1 plus doesn't make sense, right? Okay, so here I don't see the acceleration at all. So in all of these options here, we don't see acceleration. So I have to try to express acceleration in terms of v and t, right? So from the definition, right, acceleration is delta v over delta t, right? So we can say, okay, so this is 1/2 v squared divided by v over t. Now v is the final velocity, so from 0 to v, this is delta v, right? And then t or delta t is going to be t1 here in this case, right? Because from 0 to t1, so delta t is just t1. Okay, and then, okay, this is the second part here, v multiplied by t2 minus t1. So now we can just divide two fractions. So divide two fractions, keep, change, and flip. So change multiplication, and then you flip the second fraction. So it's going to be t1 over v. Now we can cancel the square with the v down here. So you will end up with 1/2 times v t1 plus v multiplied by t2 minus t1, which is option D. So the answer is D. Okay, I hope it was helpful, and see you in more questions to answer together.